All right, excellent. All right, good morning. It is 8:03 a.m. on August 13, 2025. We are continuing the contested hearing between Rockwood Energy and Coterra Energy. Yesterday, Miss Luck presented her first witness, Mr. Tyler Jolly, and we excused him, and we're ready to continue. But before we do, are there any preliminary issues that the parties would like to address?
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. I did want to address a couple of things and bring up some potential options for streamlining the hearing today. So in reflecting on the hearing yesterday, it seems like the intent of some of my questions may have been misinterpreted. And I was definitely not trying to say that all exhibits that we submit have to be infallible. There's errors in our exhibit packets. I'm going to be walking through some errors in the Coterra exhibit packets today. The intent of my questions was really to figure out who I can ask about those errors, not to point out ad nauseum that there were errors. So I just wanted to make that clear. I also just wanted to make it clear that I and Coterra don't have an issue with contract operators or contract witnesses. It's just under the circumstances of this case, it's very unusual. And so that's why I was raising the questions that I did yesterday. In terms of streamlining the cross-examination today, my cross-examination and Ms. Luck's potential cross-examination, yesterday, I'm pretty sure that everyone got what I was laying down about the Rockwood witness not being here and the Mewburn witnesses being here. And so I was thinking, before I had a chance to talk with Ms. Luck today, but I was thinking that we could stipulate or note that the following items are undisputed and no need for further questions on them. And one of them, the first one would be that none of the witnesses work for Rockwood and Rockwood has no witnesses here. That would be the first item. And I understand from speaking with Ms. Luck that Mr. Kelton Powell is available if I wanted to call him or cross-examine him from Rockwood. So I haven't fully digested that yet, but I think that my undisputed idea is still true for the witnesses that we have before us today. And that would eliminate the need for me to ask them those foundational questions. So that's the first proposal I have.
I think the foundational questions also came in when we were talking about exhibits. And so and now that we are on day 2 and it's the 13th and we don't have that time problem anymore with the filing of the exhibit packet or the final exhibit packet from Rockwood, are you willing to stipulate to any exhibits that have not yet been admitted? I know that the C102s are not, exhibit C1 is not admitted. C2 and C3 and C4 were admitted after you voir dired the witnesses and we heard from them. So that's behind us. What about the other 2 witnesses exhibits, Mr. Crosby and Mr. Eddington?
Yes, I don't intend to voir dire them.
Okay.
I mean, obviously I reserve the right to cross-examine them. And then there's a couple of rebuttal exhibits that Ms. Luck has prepared that I will be objecting to,
Okay.
but those are not in the materials for now.
Fine, and we haven't dealt with that yet. I don't even know what they are yet.
Yeah.
But let's go back to Ms. Luck's exhibit packet. Ms. Luck, your witness Crosby, is that exhibits D?
Yes, Mr. Hearing Examiner.
D. And Mr. Eddington, is that E?
Yes, Mr. Hearing
Okay,
Examiner.
very good. Ms. Bennett, are you willing to stipulate to the admission into evidence of the exhibit packet submitted by Mr. Charles Crosby and Mr. Gavin Eddington?
Yes, as currently constituted.
Perfect. Yes. Thank you. Okay, then Ms. Luck, you don't have to provide foundation for each exhibit now for those witnesses exhibits. So D and so Mr. Court Reporter, I just want to make sure that you are keeping track of exhibit admission. And so ultimately, so far in the exhibit packet that Rockwood has submitted, all exhibits are admitted with the exception of exhibit C1, which we're waiting for Ms. Luck to correct, and maybe she has, and she's going to tell me about that now, but I don't know. Was there anything else,
Yes.
Ms. Bennett, before I go to Ms. Luck?
Yeah, so that was my first idea of streamlining. Then secondly, there's been a lot of questioning about, on my behalf, about who's going to be operating.
Mhm.
And my takeaway from Mr. Jolly's testimony is that it's undisputed that if Rockwood is awarded operatorship, Rockwood does not intend to drill and operate these wells. And so rather than me raising issues about the Mewbourne-Rockwood relationship, I thought this might be a way to eliminate that line of questioning.
When you say this might be a way, what is this?
That we just agree that it's undisputed,
Okay.
that if Rockwood's awarded operatorship, it does not intend to drill and operate these wells.
Okay. Are there any other
Yes.
stipulations
Yes.
that you?
It's undisputed. And until yesterday, honestly, Mr. Hearing Examiner, I did not know that this was undisputed, but it's undisputed that Coterra owns the majority working interest. That was what Mr. Jolly testified to yesterday.
Okay.
And then it's undisputed that as currently constituted anyway, the Mewbourne testimony does not reference Mewbourne as operator. I think that's the line of questioning that I had for all of the witnesses. And if we can just
Dispense with that.
Yes, I would like to just dispense with that. And maybe it's a standing question. I'm not entirely sure how to preserve this, but I also don't want to take the division's time and the witness's time to ask questions that I know the answer to at this point, but I still feel are relevant to the cases.
Okay. Yeah, okay, good.
Yes.
Are we good? Okay. All right, Ms. Luck, can we begin? I'm sure you have in your microphone, I don't think is on. Thank you.
I'm ready.
Okay. Can we begin with the stipulation points, if you're willing to stipulate that number one, that your witnesses are not employed by Rockwood?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So there's number one, Miss Bennett. Number two, are you willing to stipulate that if approval is given to Rockwood for their applications, that the wells would be drilled and operated by Mewbourne?
Yes, and that's completely contingent on whether or not Rockwood is awarded the pulling orders.
Okay, so we have a stipulation on that point. And then finally, can we stipulate, or will you stipulate that Coterra owns the majority of the working interest?
Yes, Mr. Hearing Examiner, I think that we all made those statements on the record yesterday.
Right, okay. So Ms. Bennett, those three main points are now stipulated to, and we don't have to have cross-examination on any of those issues any longer. Now, Ms. Luck, what would you like to discuss as a preliminary matter today?
I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I do need to read a stipulation for my part of this.
Okay.
My name is Gerald Arlone. I am a notary authorized to take acknowledgements and administer oaths in New Mexico. Absent an objection on the record before the witness is sworn, all parties and the witness understand and agree that any certified transcript produced from the recording of this proceeding is intended for all uses permitted under applicable procedural and evidentiary rules and laws in the same manner as the deposition recorded by stenographic means and shall constitute written stipulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Luck?
And Mr. Hearing Examiner, I don't think I have anything further. I discussed the issues that I thought were appropriate with Ms. Bennett before the hearing regarding my rebuttal exhibits that I provided to her last night, which have not yet been filed with the division because we don't yet have the corrected C-102s. The surveyor is finishing up some final details, but again, they're still in draft form. And so we will file those as soon as they're done. The final point was what Ms. Bennett mentioned about whether or not she was interested in cross-examining a Rockwood representative. And I did offer that because I spoke with Mr. Powell earlier this morning, but I would not be intending on offering any kind of direct testimony from Mr. Powell. He was not listed in our pre-hearing statement, and my intention is not to provide him as a witness. It's just simply for purposes of cross-examination, but we may have resolved that with the stipulations.
Thank you, Ms. Luck. And so Ms. Bennett, and I didn't catch his name, Ms. Luck. What did you say this witness's name was?
Kelton Powell.
I'm sorry, I still don't catch you.
I'm sorry, Kelton, Kelton is his first name, and then his last name is Powell, Powell.
Kelton Powell, thank you. He's employed by Rockwood?
Yes, that's correct.
In what field?
He's the Rockwood representative, so he oversees the company management, and he could testify as to a variety of the operations and oil and gas that Rockwood handles.
Kelton Powell. Is he an expert in any field?
He has not been previously qualified as an expert, but he is an engineer by trade and education. And so I do think that he would be qualified as an engineer here before the OCD.
Perfect. And Ms. Luck, what I understand is that he's not on your witness list. You were not intending to call him. But of course, Ms. Bennett, you can call him as your witness if you so choose.
Thank you. I need to give that a little bit of
Right.
thought. And one other thing that Ms. Luck and I discussed is the fact that, today I'm going to be going through my witness testimony, and there are some typographical errors that we'll need to correct. And there is a notice issue that I'll need to address with the division. And I'm not sure if the division had a chance to think through the notice provision or notice issues that were raised yesterday afternoon. But, it seems to me like there's going to be some need for submitting revised exhibit packets on both parties' behalf. And rather than, trying to do that while we're here in the hearing today, I would just propose that maybe we could agree to a deadline, a reasonable deadline to submit the exhibits. And then if we need to come back before the division to go through the revised exhibit packet, happy to do that. But both Ms. Luck and I will be in the hearing today, so it will be challenging just from my own perspective to file things today.
Sounds good. Ms. Luck?
Yes, Mr. Hearing Examiner, I agree with that plan, and I defer to Ms. Bennett as to a date that is appropriate.
Okay, and Ms. Bennett, we'll talk to the technical examiner at the end of the hearing to see if he would like to hear closing arguments, if he feels the need for any proposed findings and conclusions. But we'll address that at the end of today's hearing, and I'll leave that to Mr. Fordyce to think about a little bit. Okay, so Ms. Luck, please call your second witness, Mr. Charles Crosby.
Okay, thank you. At this point in time, Rockwood would call Charles Crosby. I believe he's on the Teams.
Okay, Mr. Crosby, I remind you that you are under oath. We understand that you have been previously accepted by this division as an expert in geology. So Ms. Luck, let's do this. I don't know how long you're planning on direct examining. His testimony is all in evidence now. So why don't we say you take 10 minutes and have him do, let's say, an overview of his testimony and his expert opinion. And then we'll turn him over to cross-examination. Is that acceptable?
Okay, that works.
Okay.
So Mr. Crosby, could you go ahead and state your name for the record for us? I think you're still on mute. Sorry, we can't hear you. I can't hear you, but I see your lips are moving. Okay.
Mr. Crosby, can you hear me? You just nod your head so I know. Okay, very good. Mr. Crosby, typically what happens is you need to go into the settings and select a different microphone from the hardware settings. I think that's maybe under the 3 dots above more. But Freya, is that where you find the microphone settings?
It's often down in the left-hand corner under the start button. Go to settings,
Under the what button?
the start button of the
Start button?
computer.
That's interesting. Well, no, I mean from the program itself, though. I think
Oh.
you can select it. Will you click on the more on your screen, Freya? Okay, so you see Mr. Crosby up here. There's also audio settings, I think. There we go. Mr. Crosby, go there. Okay, good. Ms. Luck, how do you feel about calling your third witness if we can't hear him in a little bit?
Yes, Mr. Hearing Examiner, I think that would be fine, but I'm afraid that they're in the same room together at Mewburn, but we could double check if Mr. Gavin Eddington is available. And you can also dial in by phone if you're not able to get the audio to work. There's a phone number on the docket. I'll email it around.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Crosby, does Mr. Eddington have a different computer? He's in the same room with you? Okay, can someone please call in, use the phone number and a cell phone or whatever phone you want to gain a microphone that way?
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, but there's an echo, so now turn off the microphone in the room other than the phone if you're using it.
You turn this mic off.
I think that took care of it.
Okay, is everything good now?
Yes, it is. Go right ahead, Ms. Luck.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Crosby.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No problem. These things happen. So if you could just explain or start off by stating your name for the division.
Charles Crosby.
And we've already admitted your exhibits. So could you just briefly state what your exhibits show that we've admitted to the division? That's exhibits D1 and D2.
Sure. So the first exhibit is a structure contour map on the base of the second Bone Spring sand in the area of interest, covering approximately a 4-township area. It shows that the structure of the formation of interest dips gently to the south-southwest. Also highlighted on this map are existing horizontal wells within the formation of interest, the second Bone Spring sand. And it also highlights in a red box our proposed DSU, as well as the approximate location of the Shepherd wells. Also on this map in the yellow boxes are existing Mewburn DSUs and horizontal wells within the second Bone Spring sand.
Okay, and so from looking at this map, it looks like Mewburn is developing all around these proposed spacing units.
Yes, we currently have 2 active rigs in this area.
Okay, and have you been working on some of these other projects as the geologist?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you are familiar with the geology in the area and the production.
Yes.
Okay, and then turning to your second, or sorry, is there anything else you'd like to add about this exhibit for the division to know?
Just as right before we go to the second exhibit, there's a line of cross-section labeled A to A prime, which will be the next exhibit, just so you're clear where it is on the map.
Okay, and so can you tell us what the next exhibit shows?
So the next exhibit is a stratigraphic cross-section representative of the general area. So this is flattened on the base of the second Bone Spring sand. And it goes from north to south across the area of interest. And then it also labels with these green arrows the target zones of some of the horizontal wells in the area.
Okay, and could you tell me what your conclusions are from looking at these cross sections?
So our primary target is labeled in this lower second Bone Spring sand area by these darker green arrows. And by correlating this formation across the area, I've come to the conclusion that our primary target zone is consistent across the area.
Okay, and do you believe that each track will contribute more or less equally to the spacing units?
Yes.
Okay, and is there anything else you'd like to add about your cross-section exhibit?
I will just add that the blue box Federal 505H, the Franklin Mountain drilled well that Coterra operates, its target location is shown on the well to the far right. And we believe this justifies our proposed DSU in that we don't overlap an existing modern completion well in the same zone for 1.5 miles.
Okay, and the overlapping spacing unit is a concern that Marshall and Winston has about this, the
Miss-
proposed spacing unit of Coterra?
Objection. Outside the scope of his direct.
Oh, well, I was just getting into the questions about why we were talking about the Coterra Blue Box FedCom 505H offset well. It's my understanding that that's the overlapping spacing unit involved with the Coterra application that he just testified to.
Well, the objection is outside the scope, so can you tell me how it's within the scope of his direct?
Yes, this case involves a proposed development unit that's now competing with Coterra's proposed development unit. Coterra has applied for an overlapping spacing unit with an existing modern well that Mr. Charles Crosby just testified to. And because that existing modern well is currently producing, there's concerns about drainage. And so that's why he's included that information in his cross-section and the information about the blue box well.
Ms. Bennett?
Thank you. I don't have any objections to him testifying about what is in his exhibits, but his direct testimony does not address any concerns about the blue box well itself. And Mr. Eddington, Gavin Eddington, has devoted some of his declaration to that. And so it seems that that's more within the scope of his direct and not at all in the scope of the geologist's direct, based on what I read of his affidavit.
Okay, so I'm going to sustain the objection based on what Ms. Bennett just said. So would you please move on?
Oh, yes, that concludes my questions for this witness, unless he has anything else to add. So I'll just ask him one more time. Mr. Crosby, do you have anything else to add about this exhibit or your testimony in this case?
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ms. Bennett?
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Crosby. Thanks for being here.
Good morning.
I just have a couple of questions for you. How long have you been involved in this development plan?
Since its inception, and I've been over projects in this area for several years at this point.
And when you say since its inception, can you be a little bit more targeted on a date for me?
I would refer to Mr. Jolly's testimony yesterday as to when negotiations began with Rockwood and Mewburn.
Were you present for Mr. Jolly's testimony yesterday?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recall that he testified that he didn't have exact knowledge about when the discussions began?
Yes, ma'am. I was just referring to when Mewburn became involved with the project. I became involved with the project.
So do you know when you personally became involved with the project?
I could not give you an exact date right now, no.
Is there any kind of range of dates you could provide?
April of this past year, I guess, would be an approximate date.
April 2024 or April 2025?
25.
Okay. Do you know if Rockwood has a geologist?
I do not.
Do you know if Rockwood undertook any sort of geologic study before you became involved in or around April 2025?
I do not.
On Exhibit D1, do you show any Rockwood wells?
No, ma'am.
And why is that?
Rockwood does not currently operate wells in New Mexico.
Is the information that you prepared or that you reviewed to create Exhibit D1, is that information that you obtained from your own review, or is it information that you obtained in conjunction with Rockwood?
My own review.
And is that the same for Exhibit D2?
Yes, ma'am.
So your Exhibit D1 and D2 do not, did you coordinate with Rockwood on Exhibits D1 and D2?
Not directly.
Okay. Um, those are all the questions I have.
Thank you. Mr. Fordyce?
Yeah, I have a question about Exhibit D2 for Mr. Crosby. I see the proposed second bone spring target. It is not highlighted across the cross section, but it is labeled with an arrow there to the I guess the second log from the right. It also is showing where the referenced blue box well is landed and where it's targeting. I can't tell from the log. Can you tell me what the depth difference is between those two targets?
They're within 100 feet of each other, vertical separation. Give or take.
Okay. So geologically, do you see anything on these logs that would lessen your concern about interference between the proposed target and the blue box target?
Well, I think they would be directly overlapping in Coterra's proposal, and seeing as how that's a modern completion that has been online for a year, I would say it's definitely an issue.
Okay, thank you for that. I have no further questions.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Luck, any redirect for this witness?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr.
Mr. Crosby,
Oh, Mr. Hearing Examiner, may
you
I
have a
ask a
question
follow-up question?
based on Mr. Fordyce's question? Go
Yes,
right ahead.
yes. Mr. Crosby, you testified that there's about 100 feet vertical separation between the blue box well and is that between the blue box well and the 221 Sombrero 221H well? Is that what you were looking at?
That's a rough approximation from this cross section. Yes, ma'am.
And you testified that they were directly overlapping. Is that what you just testified to?
Yes, the proposed paths of the wells are directly overlapping in Coterra's proposal.
What's the horizontal distance between the blue box well and the 221H well? And I'm not sure that horizontal distance is the right way to describe that, but I think you can see what I'm trying to get at there.
I believe so. It's roughly 600, 700 feet horizontal separation.
Okay. And is there anything in your testimony that, from a geologic perspective, did you include any studies in your testimony to support your conclusion that this is an issue from a geologic perspective?
Not directly in my testimony.
Thank
I
you.
mean, besides just highlighting it on the map in the cross section.
Thank you.
Are you done?
Yes.
Ms. Luck, is there any redirect on those questions?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Fordyce, did you hear anything that you need to explore further?
No, Mr. Hearing Examiner.
All right, thank you. Mr. Crosby, thank you for your participation and you're excused, but you may be recalled at some time in the future. Would you like to call Mr.
Yes, sir.
Eddington?
Yes, Mr. Hearing Examiner.
Go right ahead.
Thank you. At this point in time, Rockwood would call Gavin Eddington as its next witness.
Here, I'll get my stuff. Do you need that? Okay. Just whatever you're comfortable with. And then I've got the camera turned off for now, so.
Okay, I can see you on camera now, Mr. Eddington. Can you state your name for the record?
Yes, Gavin Eddington.
Okay, and so I just want to start off with your exhibits that were filed with the division. So those were E1 through E5. So turning to E1, can you explain to us what this exhibit shows?
Yes, this is, we've got a couple things going on here. On the left side of this page is the production from the Blue Box Federal Com 505H. It has some details involving where that well is located, the spacing unit that was assigned to it. It's kind of straddling a section line between sections 1 and 2, 12 and 11, 13 and 14. It's located where the first take point, about 120 foot from west line of section 1, a last take point of about 117 foot from west line in section 13. So it's not exactly centered up on the section line. I put when this well came online and all the production history that was currently available at the time this exhibit was made. And then you can see that there is, a forecast of oil, gas, and water on the available production. And at the bottom of that page, it shows how much cumulative production has been produced on this well from January 2024 through May of 2025, oil, gas, and water, and what forecasted remaining reserves would be. And then on the right-hand side of this page, going into the details of the proposed Coterra development, where they're seeking to overlap in this spacing unit on the Sombrero 221H. And, they'd be roughly, 700 foot apart from this existing well. And so what's done here is kind of just a simple mathematical allocation of what could be assigned to the portion of the spacing unit of the existing well, and the portion that Coterra's proposed well would be overlapping, and how much production could be allocated to be coming out of those acres, and potentially how much future reserves could be, also being pulled out by, a combination of both wells here in a similar target. So the mathematical breakdown, you get to roughly a little over 50,000 barrels of cumulative production to date, or as of May of 2025, that could be allocated to this portion of the overlapping spacing unit. And then another portion of the remaining reserves that could be essentially shared if Coterra were to overlap in this spacing unit with the existing Blue Box 505H. You come up with roughly about, combining those two numbers together, you come up with roughly about 120,000 barrels of potential depletion that Coterra could contend with if they were to create an overlapping spacing unit with this existing well. And I guess one important note here is all this calculation was done with data that is currently available. Obviously, there's we're in August today. There's been another 2 full months of production that has already been taken out of the blue box well. And, in the future, until new wells are drilled and completed, there will continue to be more production that will be lost from this portion of the spacing unit.
Okay, thank you for that summary. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think that's it for this exhibit.
Okay, and I just want to confirm though that Rockwood doesn't have overlapping spacing units. This only deals with Coterra's development plan.
That is correct. In Rockwood's proposed development, the well furthest west that could overlap with this is stopped short as a 2.5-mile well, so there would be no overlap.
Okay, and so then turning to exhibit number E2, could you explain to us what that says and what you're trying to tell us with that exhibit?
Yes, this exhibit here kind of, coincides with Mr. Crosby's first exhibit, showing, that there are numerous Mewburn developments that we've been currently operating, drilling, completing, producing wells out here, as well as actively drilling new wells in the nearby area. This is a simple well count taken from S&P Interdeck of wells that have spud since 2020. So we're talking about modern horizontal wells in Lee County, New Mexico, where in this portion of the basin, being the northeastern portion of the Delaware. So we have Mewburn has drilled at least 140 wells that would be at between a mile to 2-mile laterals. And then here, as of recent, we've drilled and completed an additional 10+ wells that have been extended laterals beyond 2 miles. So we're, an operator who's been very active out here for a long time. We feel comfortable with our geology, and we're proving that we're capable of drilling and completing wells out here efficiently and prudently. And then in comparison, Coterra in this portion of the basin has only drilled a single 2-mile well in this same time frame, and they have not drilled or completed a 4-mile well, to my knowledge, in the New Mexico portion of the Delaware Basin.
Okay, thank you for that. Is there anything else you'd like to add about E2?
I guess the second point is just, reiterating that the difference in these proposed developments is that Coterra's involves creating an overlapping spacing unit with the existing blue box well, and Rockwood's does not, and we believe that is in the prevention of waste and protection of correlative rights.
Okay, thank you. So turning to exhibit E3, E as in Edward, E3, can you tell me what that exhibit shows?
Yes, this is a cross-sectional gun barrel diagram of where both Rockwood and Coterra's proposed lateral locations would be within their respective developments. And so they're quite similar in the well spacing between these new wells. Mewburns are roughly 13-20 foot apart. Coterra's would be roughly 1350, with the exception that the Sombrero State 221H would be much closer to the existing blue box well at approximately 700 foot.
Okay, and is there anything else you'd like to add about E3?
I think that's it.
Okay, and then after receiving Coterra's exhibits, did you prepare 2 additional exhibits regarding the frac hit potential and the surface facilities that were existing related to these spacing units or proposed spacing units?
I did.
Okay, and Mr. Examiner, I would like to move into exhibits E4 and E5, which I provided to Ms. Bennett last night. If I could share my screen and then Mr. Eddington could testify as to what those exhibits show, and we could determine whether or not they're going to be admitted at this hearing as rebuttal.
Let's do it this way. I understand that you reviewed Coterra's exhibits, and this is a rebuttal exhibit in response to Coterra's exhibit, so that's fine. Have they been filed?
No, Mr. Hearing Examiner.
Okay, so, but you provided a copy to Ms. Bennett.
Yes,
Okay, and this witness prepared them?
yes.
Okay, do you want to ask a few foundational questions before I go to Ms. Bennett?
Yes, I could ask him just the basics about what
Yes.
these 2 exhibits.
Go ahead.
Thanks. Okay, if I can share my screen. Mr. Eddington, can you see this exhibit on the screen?
Yes,
And did you prepare this exhibit?
I did.
Could you tell the examiners here what it shows?
Yes, this is a offset frac hit example of similar wells located about a township away. I put the information up there in the text box of where these are located, and 20 South, 35 East, sections 5 and 8. So the
Okay, and sorry,
The-
if you can just,
Excuse me, Mr. Eddington, give me a moment. We're just trying to get some basic information about the exhibits so that we can
Mhm.
find out if there are any objections to them. And we're not going into the testimony yet about what you are trying to assert through these exhibits. So are you done with your foundational questions?
I'm done. Sorry, I'm done with the foundational question on E4, but I'd like to also just ask a couple foundational questions on E5.
Go ahead.
Okay, and then Mr. Eddington, can you see exhibit E5 on the screen in front of you?
I can.
Okay, and did you prepare this exhibit?
Yes.
And could you just briefly explain what this exhibit shows?
This is just a infrastructure map for Mewburn facilities in the nearby area.
Okay, and so with that, I would tender these 2 exhibits in rebuttal to Coterra's applications in these cases.
Thank you. Ms. Bennett.
Thank you. Excuse me. The division has been very strict on what's allowed as a rebuttal exhibit. And in Coterra's opinion, these 2 exhibits fall outside what the division has said is proper rebuttal. So starting with the first exhibit, which Ms. Luck has on the screen, this is, as Mr. Eddington testified, a frac hit exhibit that's designed to show the impacts of, or analogize, I suppose, the impacts of the blue box well on the Sombrero 221H well. And Mr. Eddington's testimony has several paragraphs about the blue box well and its impacts, and has exhibits dedicated to the blue box well and its impacts. So this is, in Coterra's opinion, this is an exhibit that could have been prepared and should have been prepared as part of the affirmative case.
So, and we'll get to the second exhibit in just a moment. So, Ms. Luck, do you understand the objection?
Yes, I understand the objection.
Okay. And can you explain, or can your witness explain what evidence that Coterra filed that in effect surprised you and that you could not have anticipated until you saw Coterra's exhibits?
Yes, and maybe I'll defer to Mr. Eddington first, and then I can add anything else if the division needs it.
But you asked the question. I don't want to ask your witness the question.
Okay, and Mr. Eddington, could you explain why this was prepared in response to Coterra's exhibits?
Yes, after reviewing the Coterra exhibits, specifically Exhibit C4, they have a bullet point that states northernly modern analogs with completion designs over 1,900 pounds per foot have observed minor impacts to EURs from offsetting developments within 650 foot to 1,300 foot offset distance. And so I prepared an example that I believe illustrates that it's considerably more impactful than minor.
Okay, Ms. Bennett?
Thank you. Again, the offset frac hits are not a surprise to Mewburn, and I think that's the key here is that Mewburn could have anticipated that Coterra would be supporting its exhibits, its affirmative case with evidence that there is not going to be an impact or a negligible or whatever impact there would be from the blue box well. That is part of Coterra's affirmative case. And to the extent that Mewburn seeks to challenge or to call into question Coterra's development plan, that's part of their affirmative case. It's not a surprise. Mr. Eddington's testimony discusses the impacts of the blue box well, and this is information he could have prepared as part of their affirmative case.
Can you go to the exhibit that he's talking about? Do you know what he's talking about? Oh,
That's what I was trying to turn to, is the exhibit D4 that he mentioned. Could I do that?
yeah, of course. I mean, it's your exhibit.
I'm fine with her. She's sharing the screen right now.
Screen. Oh. So can you pull up the exhibit that your witness is talking about in Coterra's exhibit packet, please?
And sorry, Mr. Eddington, was it C4?
Yes, this one that's currently on your screen.
You can rotate if you go down. There you are.
Apologies.
Rotating. Okay. So Mr. Eddington, where on this exhibit did you find the unexpected information that you are trying to rebut?
I previously just quoted this second bullet point where they stated they have observed minor impacts to EURs from offsetting developments within 650 to 1,300 foot offset distance.
Okay, and what about that was a surprise to you?
Well, I mean, most of this, the well list of relevant offset wells they've included, I don't know that I would categorize as northern Lee analogs. A lot of this is multiple townships away from where this proposed development is. And then, they're not, minor impacts is not a qualitative, a quantitative description. And so I saw that and I, tried to prepare an exhibit that would give a quantitative description of the impact of an offset frac.
Okay, all right. Objection overruled. I'm going to allow this exhibit in the first rebuttal exhibit. Now, do you want to make your argument about the second rebuttal exhibit?
Yes, thank you.
Go ahead.
As I understand it, and this exhibit doesn't really speak for itself, so this is based on my understanding of what this exhibit is and Mr. Eddington's testimony. But my understanding is that this exhibit purports to show Mewburn's facilities in the area. And one of the division's factors is the surface factor. And it should not have been a surprise to Mewburn that they should have included this in their initial submission.
Okay. Mr. Eddington, we're going to go through the same thing that we went through the other one with this one. So what were you responding to when you developed this exhibit? what information did you respond to?
I think specifically at the time in Coterra's applications, they were questioning Rockwood's facility designs and AFE amounts and all of those things. And I was just trying to display here and with the knowledge now that, Mewburn would assume operations here, that Mewburn has active developments, active facilities all throughout this area, and those really shouldn't be a concern with Mewburn being the operator.
Okay, Ms. Luck, did you have anything you wanted to add before I make a ruling?
Yes, the one thing that I would like to add is that in a typical pooling case, there are typically just a standard set of land exhibits and geology exhibits. So any type of surface facilities or the extensive mapping that Mr. Eddington has done here that shows both third-party takeaway and Mewburn facilities. This is all very unique to this case and these specific spacing units. This isn't a typical exhibit that's prepared in any of the cases that I've ever worked on. And so this was prepared specifically just to address the issues outlined in Coterra's exhibits related to the AFE costs and the existing surface infrastructure and facilities.
And is this exhibit labeled yet? Have you marked it?
Yes, Mr. Hearing Examiner, if I just scroll up slightly, I labeled this one as E5. The one before it was E4, and then this one is E5.
Okay, so I've admitted E4 into the record, but I'm going to sustain the objection to E5. I believe you should have anticipated, based on the 7 factors, that this information would be important to your case to show about surface disturbance, and so this one won't be coming in. Now, if Miss Bennett opens the door down the road, that may be a different story, but for now, this exhibit won't be coming in. So anyway, is there any testimony that you want to elicit from your expert on E4?
I would like to ask a few additional questions, and I would ask a question regarding the competing factors.
Right ahead.
Is there a rule that requires competing factors to be in the application or the testimony and exhibits?
I can't answer.
Okay, well, I think that that's the reason that this exhibit E5 is not being admitted at this point in time. So I just want to be clear about why E5 is not being admitted based on the factors.
The reason that E5 is not being admitted is because it's not truly a rebuttal exhibit. It's an attempt to make your case, which I believe should have been made in your case in chief, as opposed to a rebuttal case. So that's why E5 is not coming in.
Okay, but there's some, and we'll get into it with Ms. Bennett's witnesses, but there's some particular nuances specifically that Coterra raised with respect to the AFE costs and surface infrastructure. And I can pull up those exhibits right now. They're all in, I believe, Coterra's exhibits D, but it's really important to do just like we did in the last exhibit and compare what Coterra produced and then why this exhibit was produced, because it isn't made just for basis of the original case. It's made to respond to Coterra's case.
Well, you can bring this back up when Coterra puts on its case, and you can make that argument after I've heard Coterra's case. But for now, that ruling is not changing. So would you like to ask this witness any other questions about E4?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Eddington, would you like to describe anything else on E4 for the division to understand?
Sure. This exhibit details 2 wells. The first being a second Bone Spring producer in a similar target, brought online in March of 2022, which was then offset approximately 9 months later by a well in the same target at approximately 1,213 foot spacing by reported bottom hole footages. And so you can see in green, the original well was producing on a certain trend. And then once it was offset, it's now been on a trend that is 30% below where it was originally. And these are, modern second sand, horizontals, modern completions with 3,000 pounds per foot approximately. These are full lateral offset wells. It's not partially offset, but we believe that this is a similar example of what you could expect should Coterra go offset the blue box Federal Comp 505H at a closer spacing than what's being shown here with modern completions and overlapping for approximately 1.5 miles.
Okay, and is there anything else you want to add about this exhibit?
Yeah, one more thing is that these wells were approximately brought online 9 months apart, and typically you see worse frac hits and well performance from offset wells the longer you wait before going and offsetting them, and so with this being the case here at 9 months, it's both Rockwood and Mewburn's position that it could potentially be much worse by the time wells are drilled next to this blue box well.
Okay, thank you for that. I don't have any further questions for this witness.
Thank you. Ms. Bennett.
Mr. Examiner, I see that it's 9 o'clock. Would it be appropriate to
Thank you.
take a break?
Appreciate it. Thank you for the heads up. Okay, let's take a break in this contested hearing and let's call a few cases that we need to dispose of. These were cases that were called in the past and they are being recalled because there was information that was either missing or erroneous in the original submission. So let's go to number 7 on our docket, 25358, Riley Permian.
Good morning, Mr. Examiner. Miguel Suazo with Beatty and Wozniak, appearing on behalf of Riley Permian.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Hearing Examiner. Paula Vance with the Santa Fe office of Holland and Hart on behalf of Matador.
Thank you. And do we have EOG resources? Is that Ms. Kessler?
Yes.
Okay. Frequently, she's not on, so we'll just move on. Mr. Suazo?
Sure. Do you want me to just reintroduce the case or?
No, I think just explain why we're back.
Sure. So last week we introduced the case and the evidence was admitted into the record and Mr. McClure wanted an amended C3 and C4. And we have since submitted that information. We filed it on Monday. If Mr. McClure is available, I'm not sure that he has had a chance to review it, but if so, we make the witnesses available for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Suazo. I have spoken to Mr. McClure. He has reviewed the revised exhibits, and this case may be taken under advisement.
Thank you.
So thank you. Okay, let's go on to number 8 on our docket. This is PBEX 25303. Do we have Ms. Bradfute or Mr. Sayer with us? If not, we can come back. I'm not hearing them. Let's move on to case number 25476. I believe all. I'm sorry?
Yes, Mr. Hearing Examiner, this is Ann Tripp on behalf of COG Operating and
Okay.
Marathon Oil Permian.
Okay, I haven't called the case yet, Ms. Tripp, so hold on a second. I'm calling case 25476, 77, and 78 for COG Operating. And I see Ms. Tripp is with us from Hinkle. I don't believe there's any other parties entered on these cases, are there?
No, Mr. Hearing Examiner, there's no other parties, but there is an error in the docket. Case 25478 is the applicant is Marathon Oil Permian, not COG Operating LLC.
Oh, thank you, Ms. Tripp. So you're saying that the worksheet that we sent out has that error in it and it's Marathon?
That is correct. Marathon for 25478.
All right, very good. So I called 3 cases, but you're saying there's only 2 that are joined?
There are two that are joined for COG Operating LLC. Those are the Pudge,
Yes.
Federal Com, Wolfcamp, and Bone Spring. And then case 25478 is for Marathon Oil Permian, and it's a separate application as well.
Ah, I see. But it was joined with with your two cases.
Yes, we were all
Okay.
on the August 7th docket and had corrections to make.
Okay. So, Ms. Tripp, I believe that you were required to refile information, and you've done that?
Yes, we've submitted a notice of admitted exhibits along with the revised exhibits, and that was done on Friday, August 8th.
Okay, perfect.
And so
Now, thank you, Ms. Tripp. Now, Ms. Fordyce, Mr. Fordyce, are you the reviewer for these two cases?
Mr. Hearing Examiner, yes, I'm actually the reviewer for these three cases that Ms. Tripp submitted revised exhibits for, yes.
Okay, very good. Well, let's only deal with the two, number 76 and 77 right now. Have you been able to take a look at the revised exhibits?
Yes, I reviewed them.
And are they acceptable?
In case 25476, the CPAC was corrected and the exhibits were corrected to be consistent for 6 wells rather than 7. That one can be taken under advisement.
Thank you.
25477. There was a correction requested to the CPAC. That was corrected. However, they submitted revised C102s to correct maybe a misnomer on an unleased tract. But now the C102s in Exhibit A3 that were revised, unfortunately, they are not completely filled out now. And on the plats no longer depict a spacing unit. So the Exhibit A3, the C102s still require correcting.
All right, thank you. Ms. Tripp?
yes, Mr. Hearing Examiner and Mr. Fordyce, my land witness is here as well. If there's any questions, we submitted a revised Exhibit A3 because the older approved and signed C102 reflected an unleased tract, which has been leased. It was identified as Burlington Northern, I believe. I do not know if we have received a completed or signed off C102, but my witness is Mr. Jeffrey Stout, and he may be able to speak to that.
Well, Ms. Tripp, even if your witness was able to testify, we still need a completed document before we can move on with this case. So what I'm going to ask you to do is submit a corrected C102 in Exhibit A3 and continue this case 25477 to the September 11 docket so we can maybe take it under advisement at that time.
Thank you. We'll do that.
All right, thank you. And now let me call 25478. This is Marathon Oil.
Yes, this is Ann Tripp of Hinkle Shanner on behalf of Marathon Oil Permian, applicant in case 25478.
Ah, very good. Okay, thank you. And Mr. Fordyce, this case and the revised exhibits, is it ready to go or are there still errors?
Mr. Hearing Examiner, yeah, I've reviewed it. The requested corrections are in the revised exhibit packet, and this case could be taken under advisement.
Okay, very good. Ms. Tripp, this case, well, you heard. Okay, now let me go back to PBEX 25303. Do we have Ms. Bradfute or Mr. Sayer with us?
Mr. Hearing Examiner, this is Paula Vance. I did just email both Ms. Bradfute and Mr. Sayer, letting them know that their case was being called. So hopefully they'll show up here in a moment.
Okay, well, we're gonna move on. We can reserve this case for the end of our hearing. We're going to go back to our contested hearing. Thank you, Ms. Vance. Okay, let's go back to our contested hearing, and we were doing cross-examination of this witness, Mr. Eddington.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. And just a point of clarification on the rebuttal exhibit that was admitted. We've had a chance to review it, but I would like to be able to ask some questions on direct of our reservoir engineer after he's had a chance to review the rebuttal exhibit.
Of course.
Good morning, Mr. Eddington. Thanks for being here.
Good morning.
Just have a few questions for you. Do you know if Rockwood has a reservoir engineer?
I believe it was stated earlier that Kelton Powell is an engineer by background. So that I think that falls within his scope.
Thanks. And did you coordinate with Mr. Powell on preparing your exhibits?
Yes.
And did you prepare these exhibits from Mewburn's information or from Rockwood's information, or a combination of both?
These were prepared with Mewburn information.
Mr. Eddington, is there someone in the room with you? Because I'm either hearing an echo or I'm hearing that someone might be in the room with you.
Yes, Mr. Crosby is also here.
Is he assisting you with the answers, or is that just an echo that I heard?
Just an echo.
Okay. When did you start working on this project? And by this project, I mean this Rockwood development plan.
Sorry, for some reason it muted my phone. I believe I've fixed it, but I did not catch the question.
Okay. I was wondering when you, Mr. Eddington, started working on this Rockwood development plan.
Earlier in this year.
Is there any way you could be a little more precise about a month range or a date range?
I would probably say at the time of Mewburn's involvement in discussions with Rockwood.
And when was that?
Sometime between January to March or April. I'm unsure of the exact date.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be tricky here. I'm just trying to understand when you, Gavin Eddington, started working on this project. Do you have a recollection of when you started working on the project?
I've worked quite a few projects throughout this year. I couldn't tell you an exact date here.
Is there anything you could look at that would refresh your recollection about when you started working on this project?
Nothing right here, right now.
Okay. So you analyzed the development plan from a reservoir engineering perspective, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you know if Rockwood undertook any sort of similar analysis before it proposed these wells?
I do not know.
In paragraph 6 of your declaration or your self-affirmed statement, you compare and contrast Coterra and Mewburn. Is that right? Do you recall that?
Yes, that's correct.
Is there a reason why you didn't compare Coterra to Rockwood, who's the applicant in these cases?
because if Rockwood were awarded this pooling order, it would be Mewburn drilling these wells.
And, but there's no Rockwood development plan or Rockwood wells that you could point out to compare with Coterra, is there?
No.
I'm going to pull up your exhibits. Well, actually, yeah, I'm going to share my screen for a minute. So this is one of the, okay, are you seeing this exhibit? This is a Coterra exhibit.
Right.
And it generally lays out the overlap. And recognizing this hasn't been admitted yet, I'm just trying to orient both of us to what we're talking about in respect to the blue box well. So are you okay with me using this as a reference map?
No objection for me at this time.
Thank you.
And Mr. Eddington, are you following me with what this map depicts?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so the turquoise box is the proposed Rockwood wells, right?
Correct.
And then the red shaded area is the proposed Coterra development area. Is that right?
Correct.
And earlier you testified that the blue box well goes from section 1 down to section 13. And I tried to draw on this and I couldn't do it with PDF, but if I'm understanding your testimony, do you see where my cursor is right now? You
Yes.
see that? So the blue box well hugs the section line along sections 1, 12, and 13. Is that what you were testifying to?
Yes, it's just the south half of section 1. So where the outline no longer runs along the section line is where the blue box well starts.
So the blue box well starts in the south half of section 1?
That's correct. So there would not be an overlap in the Rockwood proposal.
Okay, I'll maybe come back to you on a question with that one. I can pull up the blue box C102, but for now, the takeaway from your testimony though is that Rockwood is not proposing to extend its lateral into this southwest or southwest quarter, this tract right here that I'm outlining, the west half of the southwest quarter.
That's correct.
And do you see section 12 down here below?
Yes, ma'am.
So in Rockwood's proposals, Rockwood is not proposing to drill section 12 at all, is it?
No.
And Rockwood is, by not drilling in this with this west half of the southwest quarter, is Rockwood basically ascribing zero value to the hydrocarbons in that area?
I don't know that there's zero value, but there is an existing well draining that portion.
Let me try saying that another way. And I'll ask you this as Mewburn, does Mewburn see value are there recoverable hydrocarbons in the west half of the southwest quarter that could be left behind if there's not a well drilled there?
If there was not a well drilled there, then yes, there could be recoverable hydrocarbons left behind, but the fact is there is a well drilled there.
Is it your opinion that the blue box well is able to effectively drain that entire west half of the southwest quarter?
I believe so. It's a relatively new well with, a reasonable frac that's spaced just below what, both Rockwood and Coterra have proposed to drill. So I think it's our opinion that it is reasonably producing from that zone.
And sorry to interrupt, but Ms. Bennett is talking about the blue box C102. I have it on my screen. Could I pull it up so we could see the image of the blue box C102 that she's talking about?
Ms. Bennett,
That's fine with me.
right ahead.
Okay, I'll share my
Can
screen.
you, for the record, can you say what the exhibit number is and whose party it is, just so that we have it clear?
And I want to be clear, this is a C102 that has not been admitted as an exhibit in the record in these cases. It's simply been referenced by the parties in a variety of ways because it involves Coterra's overlapping spacing in one of their proposed units. And so Ms. Bennett was asking Mr. Eddington questions regarding the well location involving the southwest quarter of Section 1, was my understanding, as well as Section 12. And I believe this image shows what she was referring to.
Can you enlarge it?
It's just like, right.
Does this help you, Ms. Bennett?
Yep.
Okay, go right ahead.
I don't need to see it.
Oh,
It answered my question. I had a lingering question about where the blue box wells first take surface hole location was and first take point in this. So no need to go back to my question.
okay, thank you. Okay, are you done with your cross-examination?
No, I'm not.
Go right ahead.
Thank you. So if you don't mind, I'll start sharing again. Let me just get back to sharing. Sorry, it's a little. Now I wanted to turn to your exhibits, Mr. Eddington. On your exhibit E1, which I have here on the screen, are you able to see that?
Yes, ma'am.
When you were testifying, you said that the production from the blue box is on the left. And I guess is there a way you could help me understand, is this what you mean by the left? And I'm sorry to be so dense.
Yeah, yes, the left side of this page,
Okay.
that graph is displaying the monthly production that has been reported to the OCD for the Blue Box 505 page.
And that was a question I had for you. You talked about this information down below, these forecasts. Is that of publicly available data?
Forecasts are typically generated in-house.
So there's no backup documentation that you could provide to support your calculations here?
These forecasts were done in our ARIES software, how we, forecast all wells that we need to look at what the estimated ultimate recoveries would be.
Yeah, thanks for that clarification. But I guess what I'm asking is, could you prepare an exhibit that shows your math, for lack of a better word, that shows how you reach these calculations?
Like I said, they're generated via our ARIES software. I fit curves as part of my scope as a reservoir engineer, is to analyze existing production and fit decline curves to that production to estimate the ultimate recovery of wells.
Thank you. Is it possible for you to include an exhibit that shows which offsetting wells you used? Well, let me ask you this question. I guess I'm assuming that you reviewed data from offsetting wells to create this forecast. Is that how you created this forecast?
I did.
And are you familiar with the fact that in contested hearings, oftentimes the reservoir engineer supplies a exhibit that shows the data upon which a chart like this or other charts are based? And I'm only talking about
Yes.
publicly available data.
Right. Yes.
Would you be able to prepare that sort of chart to show what publicly available data you used to prepare this exhibit?
Yes, I could.
Okay. On the, one thing when I reviewed this exhibit, I guess I was still, and I appreciated your testimony where you were describing what I think you called it like simple math, what you did here. But what I still don't understand is what is the conclusion you're drawing here that the blue box well is going to be its production is going to be impacted by the Sombrero 221H well?
I think that this is showing that both the blue box and the new Sombrero 221H could both be impacted due to the production that has already been taken out of the ground from the blue box well, and then the impact of a frac hit from a close distance could impact both wells.
And does Mewburn, to your knowledge, does Mewburn have an interest in the blue box well?
Don't believe so.
Does Mewburn have a working interest in the Sombrero or Shepherd spacing units?
No.
Did you, on this slide, does it show where you calculated what will be gained from the Sombrero 221H well?
Could you clarify what you
Sure.
mean by gained?
Sure. The Sombrero 221H well is proposed to traverse 4 sections. And
It's from additional lateral footage.
yes, the additional lateral footage. Did you describe on this exhibit what additional hydrocarbons would be recovered from the additional lateral footage?
Not here, no.
Did you include that anywhere in your materials?
Not in these exhibits, no.
Did you provide any technical support or any exhibits illustrating the hydrocarbons in place near the Blue Box 505H well and Sombrero 221H well?
I did not.
In your experience, can a nearby drilled well actually have a positive effect on an existing well?
I can't think of any positive impacts.
Okay. And under Rockwood's proposal, Rockwood is not seeking to recover any hydrocarbons from the west half of the southwest quarter. Is that correct?
Correct. They're not applying for an overlapping spacing unit.
And are you aware that there's no prohibition, that the OCD rules specifically authorize overlapping spacing units?
No.
Do you know, and I'm just asking you this based on your knowledge, not as a lawyer or any kind of legal expert, but just based on your knowledge as a reservoir engineer, do you know if there's any requirements for internal setbacks in New Mexico? Internal setbacks between wells?
Internal as to.
For example, are there any
Rephrase the question, please.
Yeah, sure. So for example, are there any rules in New Mexico that you know of that say that 2 horizontal wells have to be 800 feet apart?
I don't know of any rules, but I would say each company would probably view spacing a little bit differently. But given that we've operated numerous wells in this area, I don't think I've seen anything at the proposed spacing between the Sombrero 221 and the Blue Box 505 be a positive outcome. But we kind of view when you create too close of a spacing between wells, that would essentially be creating waste.
Would not developing section 12 also be creating waste?
I guess that's dependent on numerous other factors as to whether or not you could develop or you could include section 12 in a development plan.
But Rockwood
That's
isn't.
not solely, but that's not solely a reservoir engineering consideration.
Right, but Rockwood isn't including section 12, right?
No.
Do you know who owns the interest in the in the west half of the southwest quarter of section 1?
Off the top of my head, no.
And so in your exhibit E1, you say that the overlapping lateral footage is about 7,200 feet. What does that mean?
That would be from the Coterra's proposed development drilling, south to north, where their projected first take point would be up into the footage that was the first take point on the blue box well. The difference between those would be roughly 7,200 foot.
You would agree with me, though, that there's a large portion of the Sombrero 221H lateral that's not overlapping with the blue box well, though, right?
Yes. But still a substantial amount that would be.
I'm sorry, I couldn't quite make out what you said.
I said, yes, there is a larger portion of the lateral that is not overlapping, but still essentially 1.5 miles would be overlapping, and that's 3/8 of the well, that proposed well.
I wanted to turn to exhibit E2 now. Do you see that on the screen?
I do.
And here you are comparing and contrasting Mewburn with Coterra, is that right?
Correct.
On this slide, though, well, you say northern Lee County, New Mexico. Does that take into account all of Lee County?
No, there's an additional note there that says less than or equal to Township 21 South. So it would be inclusive of everything north, including 21 South in Lee County, New Mexico.
So without that limitation, would there be additional Coterra wells that would show on this exhibit?
There would be. This was done to illustrate the active developments in the nearest region to these proposals.
In these 140 wells, and I realize I'm asking a very general question here, and so you feel free to tell me that I need to be more specific, but to your knowledge, does Mewburn Oil Company own a working interest in those 140 wells?
Yes.
Does Mewburn Oil Company own a working interest in the Shepherd unit? To your knowledge?
No.
Does Coterra own the majority interest in the Shepherd development area? To your knowledge?
Believe that's been accepted.
On your operational expertise, did you identify any operational expertise of Rockwood's?
there was nothing to include from Rockwood.
I'm looking at your exhibit E3. Do you see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Down here, I've highlighted a couple of items on your exhibit that say MOC Rockwood versus Coterra development plans. Do you see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Is MOC Mewburn Oil Company?
Yes, that's correct.
And so this is a slide depicting the Mewburn / Rockwood development plans. Is that right?
Yes, it is. It is the Rockwood proposed developments.
But is it also Mewburn's proposed development?
Assuming a pooling order given to Rockwood, it would then become Mewburn's development.
On this slide, you're showing that Rockwood and Mewburn, I'm sorry, Rockwood and Coterra are both proposing with their current proposals a 4 well per section development plan. Is that right?
Yes, with the new wells.
Yes, with the new wells. Did you provide any technical documentation that illustrates the recovery difference between 4 wells per section and 5 wells per section in a section, drilled in a section?
I did not.
Have you provided any technical documentation to illustrate the economics of 4 wells per section versus 5 wells per section?
I did not. I mean, it's essentially the same development for both sides, with the caveat that Coterra's would overlap with the existing blue box well.
But I'm just going to review my notes really quickly. Those are all the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fordyce?
I have one quick question for Mr. Eddington, referencing Exhibit E1 on page 71. And toward the bottom of that exhibit, there's a calculation involving the remaining reserves. It says it's assuming a 50-50 split of reserves. Just curious, is that a common reservoir engineering practice for existing wells and offsets or infills, is to just assume a 50-50 split?
No, sir. That was just a quick example of what, the remaining reserves of the blue box well could be impacted on both the blue box 505H and the new Sombrero 221H.
So it would be safe to say there's no engineering basis, production data, or reservoir modeling to support this assumption?
Well, I think the frac hit example is a reasonable basis for, what type of impact is seen on new and existing wells when they're, offset.
All right, thank you, Mr. Eddington. I don't have any further questions.
Thank you. Miss Luck, or any redirect?
I just have two questions.
Go ahead.
Okay, so Mr. Eddington, is it true though that Mewburn does intend to operate as proposed by Rockwood if Rockwood is granted pooling orders in these cases?
That's correct.
Okay, and then my final question is, do you know if Coterra has ever drilled a 4-mile well as it's proposing to do here?
To my knowledge, the answer is no.
Okay, thank you.
Were there any recross on those two questions?
No.
Okay, good. Mr. Fordyce, any questions on those?
No, I have no further questions for this
All right.
witness, Mr. Hearing Examiner.
Very good. Mr. Eddington, you're excused, but please be aware that you may be recalled later today if Ms. Luck needs you to be. Okay, Ms. Luck, does that conclude your case in chief?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Hearing Examiner. Subject to recall related specifically, I think, to Exhibit E5, which may arise later at a later time in the hearing.
And Ms. Luck, when do you anticipate having this corrected Exhibit C1?
Mr. Hearing Examiner, I do have those now. I'm ready to file my corrected exhibit packet with the inclusive corrected Exhibit C1. I also had proposed previously, and I do have Mr. Jolly on the line, to include the additional letters of support, which I don't know if we fully clarified or admitted those into the record yesterday with Mr. Jolly. There were a couple of additional letters of support that were provided to Ms. Bennett, and I would like to admit those as Exhibit C5. But then additionally, I have also included Exhibit E4 in the exhibit packet.
Okay. All right. So Ms. Bennett, let's deal with the, I think the question here is the additional, how many additional letters of support do you have?
I think that there's 4.
And yesterday your original hearing packet included how many?
I think there was 5 originally, so 9 total.
So Ms. Bennett, your position on the 4 additional letters of support?
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. I reviewed the 4 additional letters of support and they were all dated August 6th, which means they could have been included with the original exhibit packet, but be that as it may, no objection to their admission.
All right, thank you. Okay, so Ms. Luck, please, while Ms. Bennett is putting on her case in chief, please file your amended exhibit packet with the following changes and modifications. First of all, you're going to file the corrected C102s as exhibit C1. Second, you're going to include your rebuttal exhibit E4, but you are going to omit your rebuttal exhibit E5. And finally, you may include the additional 4 letters of recommendation to the original 5. Were there any other changes that I missed?
No, that's inclusive of everything. Thank you. But I would just ask to file them on a break so I can pay attention.
Okay,
Thanks.
by all means. And just for everyone's information, I plan on taking lunch today around noon. If it's a few minutes after, it's okay. But we'll take a 90-minute lunch today and come back on the record at 1:30. I hope that doesn't pose anything insurmountable for the parties. If so, please let me know. Otherwise, Ms. Bennett, are you prepared?
I am. I was wondering if we could take a short break though, just before we get started on our case in chief.
Sure. How many minutes would you like?
5, 10.
5
Yeah.
sounds great.
Yeah.
5 sounds great.
And I thought I saw Miss Bradfew on the line for whatever it's worth, if you were waiting for her to.
I'm not,
Okay, great.
but thank you.
Sure thing.
All right,
Yeah,
so it's 9:45. We're coming back on the record at 9:50. Thank you. All right, it is 9:51. We are back on the record. Ms. Bennett is going to present Coterra's case in chief and rebuttal case at the same time. How many witnesses do you have?
Mr. Examiner, we have 5 total witnesses. We may not end up calling all 5,
Okay.
but we have 5
Very
total.
good.
And Mr. Examiner, not all 5 have previously testified before the division, so there will need to be some qualification done.
Would you, since I'm keeping track here,
Mhm.
would you tell me their names?
Yes, the landman is Scott Richter, Richter.
Okay, you don't have to spell it now.
Okay.
We'll have him do it.
Okay.
Has he been admitted?
He has not.
Not yet.
No.
Okay.
The geologist is Stacy Fry.
Okay.
She has been admitted.
Okay.
The reservoir engineer is Kent Weinkoff, and he has not previously testified before the division.
Not okay.
The facilities engineer is Calvin Boyle. He has previously testified before the division.
Boyle.
Boyle.
Thank you.
Mhm.
He has.
He has.
Okay.
And then the drilling engineer is Weston Sleeper, and he has not previously testified before the division.
Sleeper.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And again, I
Okay.
intend to call at least the first 3.
Sure. Okay. So we have here 3 that have not and 2 that have been qualified as an expert before this division.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now let's see. I think you gave your brief opening yesterday.
I did.
Okay, I thought so. I just wanted to make sure I'm not missing something here. And why don't we deal with your exhibits first?
Sounds good.
Okay, so you've submitted one exhibit packet so far?
So far, yes.
Very good. So far, yeah. I know there's going to be changes. You mentioned that earlier today. So Ms. Luck, have you had an opportunity to review Ms. Bennett's exhibit packet?
Yes, I have.
Okay, very good. And what is your position on admission into evidence?
Yes, I think that I'm in the position that I would go ahead and agree to stipulate to the admission of Ms. Bennett's exhibits in total, except for exhibit A4.
A4?
Yes.
A4. And what is A4?
A4 is what Ms. Bennett has put together as the division's factors.
Okay.
And I have a lot of objections to this exhibit.
Okay, so you're not stipulating to A4. That's fine. So Ms. Bennett, all of your exhibits are admitted into evidence with the exception of A4. I will keep track of that and we'll deal with it when we come to it. So why don't you call your first witness?
Thank you, Mr. Hearing Examiner. Our first witness is Scott Richter, the landman for Coterra Energy Operating.
All right. Now, do we have all 5 of Coterra's witnesses available to turn their cameras on? I'd like to get them all sworn in at the same time. Oh, no?
I'm not sure. They were planning on
Sure.
preparing,
Like
being,
someone else
yeah.
here. Let's get as many as we
Yeah.
can. Question.
and looks like
Ms. Boyle.
Calvin Boyle, maybe the,
Okay, well, 4 out of 5 is great. Okay. Would you all raise your, well, first of all, would you unmute your microphones? Thank you. Good morning to all of you. Would you all raise your right hands, please? Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Okay, very good. Mr. Weinkauf, I didn't hear you say yes.
Yes.
You did say, okay. Please put your hands down. Let's start with Mr. Richter. Please state and spell your name for the record.
Yes, Scott Richter, SCOTTRICHTER.
Okay, very good. And I understand you have not yet been qualified as an expert before this division.
That is correct, sir.
Very good. Mr. Weinkauf.
Kent, Kent, Weinkauf, WEINKAUF.
Thank you. And you also have not been yet qualified as an expert?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Okay, very, very good. Can we go to Ms. Fry?
Yes.
state and spell your name.
Stacifrey.
Okay, very good. And you have been qualified by this division
I have
as an expert in what field?
in petroleum geology.
Petroleum geology. Thank you, Ms. Fry. And then finally, we have Mr. Is it Sleeper?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
All right, fine. Please state and spell your name.
Weston Sleeper, Weston Sleeper.
Thank you. And you have not yet been qualified by this division?
That's correct, sir.
Okay, very good, very good. Okay, now let's deal with the three of you. Ms. Fry, I'm not going to deal with you right now. Mr. Richter, why don't you, and then I'm going to ask also the other two witnesses as well. Please give me some background on your education. Give me some details like when you achieved the degree, what the degree was, and then your work experience, who you worked for. Give me some, dates that don't have to be exact, what your job duties were, what your title was. So let's start with you, Mr. Richter.
Yes, sir. I graduated in 2010 from the University of Oklahoma with BBAs in energy management and accounting, with minors in finance. I worked from 2009 to 2019 as an intern and full-time employee with Marathon Oil Company, serving in various capacities and roles, working different basins spanning from the Gulf of Mexico to North Dakota to the mid-continent, focused on Oklahoma. And then in my most recent endeavor, it was Cimarex in 2020. I moved over there in May of 2020, came on as the land manager of leasing contracts. Then when the Coterra merger happened between Cimarex and Cabot, I moved over to the Oklahoma group. And then this past April, I moved up to the Permian Basin as the land manager for the Permian business unit.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Richter. You are hereby qualified as an expert in petroleum land matters. Okay, let's go on to Mr. Weinkopf.
Yes, sir. I graduated with a BS in petroleum engineering in the fall of 2018. I also have a degree, a bachelor's of science in finance from the University of Tulsa in 2014. My work experience, starting with the nearest time, I've worked for Coterra Energy, also previously Cimarex Energy, for the last 7 years doing reservoir engineering work. Most recently, I'm working the Permian Basin. And prior to that, I've worked acquisitions and divestitures, looking at several basins, including Permian, Anadarko, Haynesville, and Williston basins. And then prior to that, with Cimarex/Coterra, I also worked the Anadarko region assets for a few years. Prior to that, I have roughly 4 years of other upstream oil and gas experience, including roles such as land administration, geology associate, and so forth.
What does a reservoir engineer do?
At Coterra, reservoir engineer responsibility ranges from evaluating the reservoir. What that means is kind of describing the characteristics. What do we think the pressure is going to be? Working with the geologist to determine resources in place. We also review the economics of development plans, and in conjunction with our geo and land staff, determine what's optimal solutions economically and on a recovery basis. And so we provide a lot of the work that goes into the economics to support our decisions for the stakeholders involved in the company. And then we do also do some project management, taking projects from inception through first production, working with other operational teams to bring wells online.
All right, thank you, Mr. Weinkopf. You are here on considered as an expert in reservoir engineering before this division. And now let's go to Mr. Sleeper.
Do you just want a rundown of my background and role?
I want you to do the same thing the other two gentlemen did.
Yeah, so I started with Coterra Energy in 2019. In that same year, I received my bachelor's of science from in mechanical engineering from the University of Oklahoma. The following year in 2020, I received my master's in mechanical engineering also from the University of Oklahoma with a concentration in solid mechanics. From 2019 to 2021, I was a drilling and completions foreman working in the field, managing operations on site for drilling and frac. From 2021 until 2023, I was a drilling and completions engineer where kind of like what Kent mentioned, helped to manage our asset and bring projects from inception to the execution phase and get the wells ready for production. Then from 2023 to 2024, I did do a stint in production engineering where I managed some of those assets across Reeves County, Texas, and Eddy County, New Mexico. And then at the end of 2024, I cycled back into drilling and completions where I'm currently serving as a senior drilling and completions engineer. Again, helping to optimize our drilling program and optimize our completions program.
Okay, so what does a drilling engineer do?
From the day-to-day perspective, I support our operations in the field. I help them solve problems that they come across in the drilling process and completions process. But I also do long-term planning to help our team, maintain our standards for capital efficiency and maximize our return.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sleeper. You are here on and considered an expert in drilling engineer before this division. Ms. Bennett, would you like to call your first witness?
Mr. Examiner, I do see that Mr. Boyle is on if you wanted to swear him in as well.
Let's get to Mr. Boyle if I need
Okay,
to.
okay, that sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you.
The first witness I'd like to call is Scott Richter. And Mr. Richter, I'm going to start sharing my screen. Mr. Richter, I wanted to direct your attention to your self-affirmed statement. Do you see that up on the screen?
I do.
And in preparing for the hearing, did you identify some typographical errors in your exhibits that you'd like to address and then submit a revised exhibit packet?
I did. We have specifically identified on page 86 in our packet, there was a tract map. We incorrectly identified some of the state lease numbers. And then on page 91, we had a similar instance where we incorrectly identified some of the state lease numbers. We intend to correct those and resubmit. Additionally, we have C102s that need updating. And forgive me, I'm not the pages of those. Dina, do you know the pages of those C102s? I see
Yes.
page 84.
Yeah, there's
85.
a few, the C102s are 84, 89, 95,
Yeah, 95.
and 99.
Yes, thank you.
And so with those changes to the tract maps and then the revised C102s that you intend to prepare, do you have any other changes that you would make to your testimony?
No, ma'am.
And so do you adopt your testimony and exhibits?
I do.
Would you provide for the division a brief summary of the main points of your testimony?
Yes. The main points of my testimony include first and foremost ownership, the working interest, the fact that it's undisputed that Coterra owns more working interest in both the Shepherd and the Sombrero units that are being discussed today. The other main points of my testimony are that we have been in good faith negotiations and discussions with both Rockwood and Mewburn throughout this entire process. The other point is that activity on the lease expirations Coterra has 9 rigs currently running in the basin. We have 3 frac crews currently running. We have a $1.5 billion budget this year, and though we don't have 2026 budget fully finalized at this moment in time, we anticipate consistent activity. In 2024, we had 1.1 billion, and we do plan to service this obligation that's being discussed today.
Thank you. Anything else that you'd like to add about your testimony?
The other, I'll just address it up front. I recognize there are some timing components to this, timing challenges that have been frustrating to work through. There's been a lot of back and forth on this case, and willing to work through all of these issues. Currently still in negotiations with both Rockwood and Mewburn and others, and intend to continue to follow up.
Thank you. With that, I turn Mr. Richter over for cross-examination.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Richter. I appreciate your time today. I just want to clarify, you've never testified before the OCD, that's right?
That is correct.
So this is your first time?
That is correct.
Are you familiar with the requirements for pre-pooling and what an operator is supposed to do before coming to a pooling hearing?
Yes.
Okay, and you're familiar with the good faith efforts that are required to enter into voluntary negotiations before filing for a pooling?
Yes.
Okay, has Coterra ever drilled a 4-mile well?
No. Not,
Okay.
well, not in the Permian, I don't believe. Forgive me. I need to defer to my drilling engineer on that. I believe he has some testimony around that.
Okay, so it's your statement today, though, that there was some timing issues. Is that right?
I recognize that there were some timing challenges. Yes.
Okay. So I think that, the questions I want to get at with you are, is Coterra actually able to drill a 4-mile well at this point in time before these lease expirations?
On the actual drilling of the 4-mile, I'm going to defer to my drilling engineer, but as to the lease expirations and timing component of this, the answer is yes.
Okay, and so we're going to work through this to see if all of the land process has been completed. And in fact, if Coterra is actually ready to go through this, through with these 4-mile wells. Can you turn to paragraph 24 through 28 of your affidavit that was filed with the exhibit package? I think it's exhibit A. I think that section's entitled something to do with the leases. I just want to confirm if you know when the lease expirations are. You had mentioned you got the state lease numbers wrong. Do you know when the lease expirations are?
Ms. Luck, I apologize. Can you point me to the page number that you were referencing?
Yeah, hold on just a second. I apologize. It's 40 out of your exhibit packet. So if you are in your PDF files, there's a page marked 40, exhibit A2.
Okay.
So paragraphs 24 through 28 say lease expiration issues. Did you put that together?
Yes.
Okay, do you know when the lease expirations are? This paragraph or none of these paragraphs say when the lease expirations are?
Yes, I do know when the lease expirations are. Specifically, and Mr. Jolly spoke to this yesterday, let me make sure I'm referencing the correct lease.
Mr. Richter, I hate to interrupt here, but is it possible for you to speak closer into the mic? Or turn up your volume?
Hello? Is this any better?
Yes.
Better? Okay. Thank you. Yes, forgive me, Ms. Luck. Yes, specifically speaking to state lease VCO 891 that is in section 36 of 18 South 35 East that Mr. Jolly spoke to yesterday. I believe that state lease expiration is August 1st of 2026. However, I also believe or understand that there is a term assignment that Rockwood has associated with that lease that was entered into in 2025 and doesn't expire until sometime thereafter.
Okay, but do you know that for sure?
That they entered into a term assignment that Rockwood did?
Right, does that would extend the leases in some way?
Forgive me, can you re-ask the question?
Well, I'm sorry, I guess, do you know that, okay, let me just back up. So is the lease expiration August 1st of 2026?
Yes, that's my
Okay,
belief.
and does the term assignment have any bearing on that lease expiration?
On the actual lease expiration itself, no. As to Rockwood's interest in the lease, yes.
Okay, but so we're all in agreement here, these leases expire, or at least that lease that you mentioned expires August 1st, 2026.
Yes, there's an 80-acre lease that is expiring August 1st, 2026.
Okay, so not that's not an insignificant amount of acreage in one of the spacing units, and it may expire. And so I wanted to find out at this point, what has Coterra done to make sure that that acreage is going to be drilled before the lease expires? Have you contacted all of the working interest owners in that acreage?
In that acreage, we have sent proposals to all the working interest owners. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and who is that?
Let me turn to okay, this would be
Mr. Examiner, I might be able to help by sharing my screen if he's looking for a specific exhibit. Mr.
Mr.
Richter,
Richter, would you just look at your screen so you can be close
Yes.
to the microphone? Be
and
close to the microphone, and Ms.
Yes.
Bennett will pull up the documents for you.
so what I've pulled up here is a lease tract map. Is this what you were looking for, Mr. Richter?
That's what I was looking for. Thank you, Miss Bennett. Yes. So within that tract, or in this instance, it's 40 acres in this particular case. But it would be Rockwood, Salt Fork, Whirl, Guns Up, Charbo, and SR Primo Holdings.
Okay, so have you contacted all of those folks?
Those folks were sent well proposals, yes.
Okay, have you done any further correspondence with the other parties aside from Rockwood?
No, my understanding is that they all support Rockwood currently.
Okay, and is it your testimony that these are all of the interest owners in the proposed units? Is that correct?
Yes.
Mr.
In this proposed.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, you were going to give the
Yeah, I
clarifying
was
remark.
going to say, as to this particular unit that's being showcased on the screen right now.
And Mr. Richter, can you get closer to the mic again? I'm sorry, we're just having a hard time hearing you.
Yes, I'm sorry. I said, yes, as to this particular case and this unit that's being showcased. Yes, that's my belief.
Okay, so I want to get to know your process in terms of land development of these units. What did you do starting from step one to determine who the interest owners were and what their ownership interest was in this unit?
So in January of 2025, we acquired Franklin Mountain Energy. Coterra acquired Franklin Mountain Energy. And as part of that, we acquired some of all of Franklin Mountain's files. Included in those files were some existing title and ownership reports. And as part of that, in preparation for getting ready for these units and these cases, and in order to propose wells, we had a broker run this information forward and bring forward the title information to current owners in these units. And then we're supplementing that with a title opinion from a title attorney in order to go drill these units.
Okay, so what all has Coterra done to reach voluntary agreements with the other interest owners in the unit?
Mr. Hearing Examiner, I'd like to object on the grounds of compound question and just ask that Ms. Luck maybe delineate between Rockwood and the other interest owners, because there's a significant difference in the communications between those two and two different groups.
Okay, Ms. Luck, I'm going to sustain the objection based on form of question. So please ask this.
I'll
question.
rephrase.
Sorry?
I'll rephrase.
Yeah, rephrase the question and please ask it. If you're going to ask about Rockwood, ask about Rockwood. If you're going to ask about another, make it obvious to the witness what you're asking.
Okay, so first I'd like to address the other interest owners, not Rockwood, and then I'll turn to the exhibits that are specific to Rockwood, if that works for you, Mr. Richter. So first, what have you done to reach a voluntary agreement with the other interest owners in the proposed units, and not just in the 223H well, in all four of Coterra's proposed spacing units? So the other interest owners besides Rockwood in the 4 spacing units.
Yes. So whenever we were approaching this in July with the status conferences, and we recognized that Rockwood did not agree to continue this nor dismiss their hearings. In an effort to move forward, we immediately, upon working with Ms. Bennett, immediately turned around and proposed to the additional working interest owners, proposed our wells and AFEs to the additional working interest owners that you referenced. As we noted that these cases were moving forward, that we were not going to reach a resolution, and Rockwood and Mewburn and Marshall and Winston were not going to agree to a continuance. So as soon as the division weighed in, we sent the proposals out as soon as we possibly could.
Okay, so you didn't contact any of these folks before the July 24th hearing?
No, we have extensive conversations with Rockwood and Mewburn prior to that, attempting to resolve
And I'm
these
sorry,
issues.
I don't mean to cut you off, but we were just talking about the other parties, and we'll get to Rockwood in a minute.
Okay, then my answer is no, ma'am.
Okay, so you did not contact any of the other interest owners on your list before July 24th?
We sent out proposals, and I absolutely will either continue or dismiss them and only pool Rockwood or Mewburn, continue to work with them into for a voluntary agreement. My understanding is that they're currently committed to Rockwood.
Well, so are you aware that Marshall and Winston did move for a continuance before this hearing began and Coterra did not agree to it?
Objection.
We didn't. Oh, go
Objection.
ahead, Dina.
What's the objection?
Misstates our position on the motion.
Okay, Ms. Luck.
Oh, well, then I just want to get clarification on what their position is on the motion, because it was my understanding they were opposed to it.
Mr. Hearing,
Excuse me.
Sorry.
And it's your understanding that this is within the scope of the direct testimony?
Yes, because he has began and continued to testify that Coterra wanted to continue or dismiss these cases as of July 24th. And he's gone on several times about continuances or dismissal. And so I'm trying to find out what his position is right now on those things.
Bennett?
thank you. If it pleases the examiner, I prepared the response to I am the one who provided Coterra's position, and I'd be happy to answer or provide the information about what Coterra's written response was on that motion.
And how is this relevant?
The timing issue. Mr. Richter brought up the timing as a part of his statements with Ms. Bennett, and timing is of the essence in this proceeding, Mr. Hearing Examiner. All of us are dealing with these lease expirations as of August 1st, 2026. And so if the parties were able to reach a voluntary agreement without having this contested hearing, this would be a much shorter, quicker process.
So it's a timing issue. So the question you're asking this witness is what now?
And Mr. Hearing Examiner, if I can, I'd just like to return to my questions, and I'll abandon this question to just avoid more time being delayed on the motion for continuance.
So I'm going to sustain the objection as to the question.
And Mr. Hearing Examiner, I'll withdraw.
Oh, good.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so moving on, Mr. Richter, I want to confirm, you sent the wall proposal letters and the pooling notices at the same time to the other parties. Is that correct?
After the status conference, that is correct. We sent forgive me, Miss Bennett's office sent the notice. Otero
Mr.
sent-
Richter, I hate to interrupt you, but is there any way you could call in perhaps so that we could have better audio?
I can try and do that.
The connection keeps coming and going,
Yeah.
Mr. Richter. I mean, unless you want to sit real close or move your computer closer to you so the microphone is much closer to you, we can't hear you half the time.
Okay, may I try and call in?
Sure. I mean, unless you want to be close to your microphone, because that works too.
Yeah, when your face is close to the computer, it works well.
Yeah.
Okay, well then,
Yeah, this is
forgive me
great.
for my face being so close, but I will try to be as close as I can to the computer here.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Luck.
Okay, and so now turning to Rockwood and your negotiations with Rockwood, when did you, let me first ask, when did Franklin Mountain sell this acreage to Coterra, or when did Coterra obtain this acreage? I'm not exactly sure how to phrase that.
Sure. Coterra closed its acquisition on, I believe, January 24th of 2025, and we announced the closing that following Monday, I believe the 27th of January.
Okay, so when Coterra obtained this acreage, did Coterra begin reaching out to any of the other interest owners or just Rockwood?
Rockwood approached Coterra first.
Okay, and do you know what the reason for that was?
Yes, they reached out wanting to discuss their acreage position that they had acquired as to Section 1, and then as to Section 1 of 19 South 35 East and Section 36 of 18 South 35 East in Lee County.
Okay, and so I know that, and I'm not saying I know, I believe that you or Ms. Bennett's office put together this exhibit A8, which says communications with Rockwood and Mewburn. Is that correct? And it is page 58.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and you started discussions with Rockwood as early as January 27th, 2025. So Rockwood has been trying to reach an agreement with you since that point in time. Is that correct?
Yes, our first meeting in person was, they reached out as soon as we closed. Our first meeting in person with them was on January 29th. And then 10 business days later, we received a well proposal from Rockwood.
Okay, and so I believe that Rockwood also put together a similar summary of correspondence, and it has days and times of emails or phone calls. Do you dispute any of those noted correspondence that Rockwood has submitted at this hearing, that Rockwood has attempted to reach an agreement with you?
Would you please pull that exhibit up? I don't dispute the fact that Coterra and Rockwood have been working in good faith for some time to reach a resolution on this. But as to the specific communication timeline, if you could pull that up, that would be helpful.
May I share my screen briefly? I'm just going to give you one of the summaries. This window. Okay, this is the chronology of contacts that Rockwood put together that it has had with Coterra. Do you dispute any of these phone calls or email messages?
No, I don't. It looks like this has been consistent communication in line with what we had put forward.
Okay, and are you aware though that Rockwood filed its polling applications in this case in February of 2025?
I don't know the specific date, no, but I do know that they filed applications with the division. Yes.
Okay. And so did Coterra have notice of the status conferences that occurred with respect to the polling applications that Rockwood filed? I believe that Coterra had counsel there. So Coterra did have notice. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Okay. Okay. And then, so do you understand that Rockwood intends to have Mewburn operate this acreage if the polling orders are awarded to Rockwood?
As of yesterday, I learned that specific detail that the order needed to be issued in favor of Rockwood for Mewburn to take over and drill and have an interest. Yes, I do understand that.
Okay, but Coterra did get the well proposal letters that Rockwood sent back in February of 2025 as a result of the conversations that Rockwood had with Coterra about trying to develop this acreage. Is that right?
Yes, Coterra did receive well proposals. However, and I included this a bit in my testimony or declaration here, we did also receive from Rockwood that Mewburn would be sending its own proposals relative to this development. And then Mewburn had also stated the same in the periods from that June 16th email on my timeline. And then in conversations with them throughout June and July. It was only at the status conference, I believe, on the 23rd, July 23rd, that it was discovered that Rockwood was going to be the one moving forward with their proposals and applications, and Mewburn was not going to be proposing wells or joint operating agreements.
Okay, so I'll just stop you there. But so just to be clear, that was almost maybe 5 months after you received Rockwood's polling applications, well proposals, development plans. And so what is the issue that Coterra takes with the Rockwood / Mewburn development?
Well, we also had Mewburn reach out in
Okay, I'm
early
sorry, you're not
April.
answering my question. What is the issue that you have with the Mewburn / Rockwood development plan?
Mr. Examiner, I would object to Ms. Luck interrupting the witness. I understand she may not like the answer that he's giving, but he is entitled to try to answer the question the best he can. And if he is not addressing her question, she's entitled to rephrase. But interrupting the witness is not going to advance the hearing at all.
Ms. Luck.
I'll just wait to respond. I apologize.
Okay, so would you ask your first question, the one he was answering again, and let him answer?
And I'm sorry if we could have the court reporter repeat the question.
Do you know the question, Miss Bennett?
I don't.
Mr. Richter, what question were you answering when you were interrupted?
Oh, I do remember.
Go ahead.
Could I have someone else repeat it, please?
Yes, my recollection is that Ms. Luck was asking what Coterra's issues are with the Rockwood Mewburn development plans.
Okay.
I
Ms.
think-
Luck, does that sound fair?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Richter, please answer that question.
Okay. The issue with specifically with the Rockwood and or Mewburn development plan, one, Coterra owns the majority ownership in what they're proposing. Two, we have different plans, which our drilling engineer, geologists, reservoir engineer, facilities engineer will be speaking to later today. And three, we've been in good faith negotiations with them, attempting to understand who will be drilling these wells, whether it's going to be Mewburn or Rockwood, and whether or not they intend to retain their interest, drill these wells, so on and so forth. And Now, admittedly, we do have a more clear picture of that as this case came to fruition.
Okay, but would you agree that a non-operator can become an operator, just like we all do something for the first time?
Mr. Examiner, objection. Mr. Richter didn't testify about anything about an operator or a non-operator in that response to Ms. Luck's question. So I'm not sure where she's going with this question.
So is the objection outside the scope?
Yes, outside the scope of the cross-examination.
Okay, Ms. Love?
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Richter's taking issue with whether or not Rockwood could be the party that proposes these wells as an operator who is becoming an operator for the first time. So I just want to clarify whether Mr. Richter understands as a person who's testifying here for the first time that another party could apply for pooling for the first time, and that's what's happening here.
I don't believe I.
But hold on, Mr. Richter, hold on, please. Okay, so the objection was outside the scope. So just explain to me, Ms. Luck, how the question would elicit an answer that's within the scope of the direct testimony. That's all I'd like to know.
Yes, Mr. Richter has testified significantly about his back and forth communication between Mewburn and Rockwood.
Okay.
And he's stating that he has an issue with Mewburn being involved and Rockwood being the party that's proposing the wells as a first-time operator.
And your question is, repeat your question.
Would you agree that a non-operator can become familiar with the rules and prepare a development plan for the first time and then become an operator through a pooling proceeding?
Ms. Bennett, I overrule the objection. Please.
May
answer the question.
I object on relevance then. It's clear that Mewburn is going to be the operator. That's the whole point of their case. So whether a non-op can become an operator is irrelevant to the case that they're presenting.
Okay, Ms. Bennett, I've overruled the objection because your witness has answered the previous question about the issues that Coterra is having with Rockwood. So I feel like this question is a natural progression. So I'm going to overrule that objection as well. Please answer the question, Mr. Richter.
Apologies. Could you repeat the question one more time, just so we're clear?
Ms. Luck, please answer the question again.
Okay, I just wanted to know if a non-operator could become an operator by applying with the division through the course of a pooling proceeding potentially, and then begin operating an oil and gas operations here in New Mexico.
Yes, any party business has the ability to get bonded, licensed, apply, become an operator in the state of New Mexico.
Thank you. So, does Coterra own any land north of the acreage in section 25?
North of the acreage? No, ma'am.
Okay, so is it a benefit for the Rockwood proposals to proceed and for the wells to be drilled?
Could you restate the question?
Well, I think that we're talking about a protection of correlative rights issue. If Coterra doesn't have surrounding acreage around section 25, that could be the stranded acreage issue that Ms. Bennett brought up with respect to section 12 yesterday. And so I'm trying to bring up the same issue here with you, whether or not section 25 would be stranded, but for Rockwood's development plans.
No, Coterra's development plans fully incorporate section 25.
Okay, but nothing north of there.
No, ma'am. Our applications don't speak to section 24 to the north.
Okay. And has Coterra received any support for the development of the units from any of the other interest owners?
To date, no, ma'am.
Do you know what Coterra's working interest is in section 1?
Yes, if you'll give me a moment. So in section 1 itself, we have 80 acres in the west half of the southwest fourth of section 1. As to Rockwood's Shepherd proposal, Coterra owns 0% in the specific unit as to section 1 that Rockwood is forming.
Okay, so I just want to be sure that that was clear, that Coterra owns nothing in section 1 as a part of Rockwood's proposals.
Answer the question. So
Okay,
we're moving on, Mr. Richter.
okay, and
Very
so in terms of a drilling schedule, do you have that ready to go for these Sombrero wells? What is the drilling schedule?
Coterra's drilling schedule, is that what you're asking about for the Sombrero wells?
Yes.
Yes, these wells are on Coterra's drilling schedule.
When?
Late June, early July of 2026.
Okay, so if there's any issues with the wells, what's going to happen in terms of the lease expiration?
Communication with the state land office.
Okay, but you're basically saying that Coterra is planning to drill these wells within the last 60 days of the leases. Is that right?
Yes, and working with the state land office, we would do that. We would report to them. We would notify them of the same and stay in communication on the same.
Do you know about how long it takes to drill a well?
I would like to defer to my drilling engineers to the specific timing associated with drilling this particular project.
Okay, well, but just turning back to the land concerns, has Coterra applied for a commingling application related to the wells with the BLM, or sorry, excuse me, with the state?
No, not yet. No, ma'am.
Okay, will Coterra be seeking commingling as a result of these applications?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, would that be something that's necessary to do before turning the wells online?
Yes, we would want to do that ahead of time. So as part of the process, working with the state land office, we would want to submit our pre-CA approval, and we would be forecasting the applications that we would also be submitting in conjunction with our communitization agreements here.
Okay, but have you ever prepared a commingling application in New Mexico before?
Personally, no, I have not.
Okay, do you know how long it takes to get commingling approved?
It can take some time to get commingling approved. There are multiple levels to get commingling approved with different agencies. In this instance, it would be working commingling with the OCD and the state land office.
Okay, but why hasn't that process started if we're dealing with really imminent lease expirations?
We are 10 months or so out from our planned spud. Is that correct? Being that it's August right now. And we are absolutely preparing for that. We are currently and have worked with the landowner where our surface locations are going to reside, surveys, and hoping to prepare for permits within the month here.
Okay, but so does Coterra have all of the infrastructure it needs in place to initiate commingling at this point in time?
The infrastructure at this moment in time, I don't believe so, but I would also like to defer to my facilities engineer on that question.
Okay, do you know though about contract side of things? Does Coterra have contracts in place for electrical? Let's just start with that. Does Coterra have contracts in place for the electrical?
I will defer to my facilities engineer who is going to be speaking to that, ma'am.
Okay, can you answer any questions with respect to any of the drill schedule and what's been done to prepare for the drilling of the wells?
Sure. Yeah. We have had, so when we acquired Franklin Mountain in late January, as I previously testified to, we have been working hard to prepare for the future development of not just this unit, but this area. And so internally, we've had a lot of meetings between the land teams, the regulatory teams, the drilling teams, the construction teams, the facilities engineers, so on and so forth. And we are to the point where we are gearing up and we have proposed these wells. We are extremely hopeful to go drill these wells in a timely manner.
Okay, but Coterra has never drilled a 4-mile well before, is that right?
I would like for the drilling engineer to speak to that. I don't believe we have done that in the Permian.
Okay, but do you think that there's going to be more work that's going to go into this more extensive project that involves longer laterals?
Objection, Mr. Richter has deferred these questions to the drilling engineer.
Please move on, Ms. Luck.
Okay. But so in terms of timing, you mentioned that was the primary issue with these cases, is that right?
I mentioned that there were some timing challenges, yes.
Okay, can you just expand upon that then? What do you mean by all of that?
Yes, from January to present, we were hoping to have a resolution by this point. There have been a lot of conversations between Coterra, Rockwood, Mewburn, and we were hoping that the issues could be resolved and Coterra would be able to move forward drilling these wells as proposed that you see today. However, we have not reached a resolution, and that's why we are here at this moment in time. I personally am still extremely hopeful that we do reach a resolution to advance development here.
Okay, and so I understand, I think, what your testimony is up to this point. But your well proposal letters were only sent 16 days ago. Is that right?
Objection, asked and answered.
Ms. Luck, please move on to a new subject.
Okay. What is Coterra doing to protect correlative rights of the other parties that are involved in these units?
By drilling wells through their tracks and providing them their proportionate share of production associated with each unit, respective to their interest in the unit.
Okay, but is it important to have that done before the lease expirations?
Yes, I stated that we are prepared to address those lease expirations.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to collect my notes. So would Coterra agree to a shortened time frame under the pooling order to drill the wells to ensure that they are drilled before the lease expiration should any issues arise?
Such as, what is a specific proposal?
April 1st.
No, that currently doesn't meet the scheduled deadline when we still plan to service those expirations.
Okay, would Coterra agree to April 30th?
No, ma'am.
Okay, would Coterra agree to a May 1st drilling deadline of 2026?
We currently have these on our drill schedule to service the lease expiration by the August 1st, 2026 date.
But it sounds like from your testimony today that all the legwork hasn't been done to get the infrastructure in place, the land work done. So I'm wondering how all of this is going to get done before then.
We have a 10+ month time frame. We are actively working with the surface owner, and as I stated previously, we're hopeful to submit permits within the month. We're hopeful to submit our pre-communitization documents with the state. We're hopeful to submit our documentation within the coming month or two relative to this development and move forward. We were hoping as I also stated previously, to have a firm resolution on this with both Rockwood and Mewburn ahead of moving forward and not get into a situation where we have a contested hearing. But we will advance all of these initiatives despite the fact that we won't have an order in place if the hearing an order takes time to issue.
Okay, so how would Rockwood be able to get out there and protect its leases if Coterra doesn't drill the well before the lease expiration, or not the well, the necessary wells before the lease expirations?
How would Rockwood be able to do that?
Correct. If Coterra is given the pulling orders and has a full year to drill the wells, assuming that we get a pulling order sometime next year, could be issued just a month or two before the lease expirations, how is Rockwood going to protect its interests out there in these leases that are expiring?
Yeah. Yes, we have had, we being Coterra, have had instances where leases expire. But what I would also say in similar instances, but what I would also say is we have offered to Rockwood to commit to drill this.
Okay, but Rockwood has a right to pool two as a working interest owner in the units to protect its mineral interest ownership. Is that right?
Yes, Rockwood has a right.
Okay. And so here in this circumstance, though, Rockwood had to seek out other alternatives due to the delays that Coterra has been causing. And so
Objection.
What's the objection basis?
The objection assumes facts not in the record.
Ms. Lowe.
well, I think that he's clearly stated that Rockwood has been trying to reach an agreement with them since February of 2025, and Coterra chose to file competing pooling applications on July 25th rather than reach a voluntary agreement. So I think that's a clear delay.
Sustain the objection. Do you have any other questions for this witness within the scope of his direct?
Yes, I do. Has Coterra ever participated in a well that's been proposed by Mewburn?
Yes.
Okay. Is Mewburn a prudent, is Mewburn a prudent operator?
Yes, I do believe so.
Okay. So is Coterra intending to drill all 4 of the wells that are proposed?
Yes, ma'am.
How would that work in terms of timing?
We would drill them back to back.
With which one coming first?
I don't know. We would batch drill them on 2 different pads right there. I can let Weston Sleeper, our drilling engineer, speak to that specifically, or Kent Weinkoff, our reservoir engineer.
Okay, but Coterra will not commit to drilling the wells 3 months before the expirations to ensure that the wells are drilled.
Asked and answered. Objection.
Sustain.
Okay, are you familiar with the blue box overlapping spacing unit?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so have you talked to the interest owners in that unit?
We did send notice out, similar to the other instances, immediately upon discovering that Rockwood wanted to move forward with these contested cases after the July 23rd status conference. Yes, we sent notice out to the working interest owners in that well.
Have you had any conversations? Have any of the interest owners expressed concern over that overlapping unit?
I have not had any conversations personally, and to my knowledge, no one has expressed concern.
Have any of the working interest owners in that blue box unit signed a JOA with Coterra?
For the sombrero proposals?
Yes.
No, ma'am.
Are there any other working interest or contractual interest owners out there that would need to sign up?
In the sombrero proposal?
Yes.
Yes, Dina, could you pull up or would you mind pulling up the exhibit with the working interest owner stated? For, I believe it's the 221H.
Working on that now. Just give me just a second. My computer shut down.
Sure. Okay, forgive me. I mean, yes, we would seek to obtain that voluntary agreement with them.
Is it, which, it's
It's
this
the
224?
No,
Which-
ma'am, I believe it's
okay.
the 221.
Is this the information that you're seeking to elicit, Ms. Luck?
Sorry, I don't see anything.
Oh, sorry. I thought I was sharing. Technology. Sorry about that. And I don't mean to be in the driver's seat. Obviously, if there's exhibits you want to refer to, Ms. Luck, you're welcome to show them.
Oh, no, I appreciate this. Thank you. So on this unit summary, have you had conversations with any of these other folks? We talked about them earlier.
Objection asked and answered.
Yes, I agree. Ms. Luck, please stop asking the same questions over and over again, and please confine your questions to the subject of expertise of this witness.
Mr. Richter, did you notify the state land office of the overlapping spacing unit?
I believe from a notice standpoint, Miss Bennett, could you speak to that?
Yeah, I just need to look at the notice materials, but that's something I'm happy to answer. Mr. Hearing Examiner, on page 167 of the materials, it shows that we did provide notice to the State Land Office of the overlapping spacing unit.
Ms. Luck, do you see that?
I'm sorry, I don't have her exhibits up in front of me, but I do appreciate the answer. Thank you. So do you know if the state land office has agreed to the overlapping calm agreement, sorry, for that acreage?
No, ma'am, that's part of the pre-communitization process. So we would send this to the state land office ahead of drilling the wells, and we would go back and forth with the state land office there. So no, I don't believe they formally agreed. We have not sent those pre-communitization notices or documents to them just yet.
Okay. And so when is Coterra planning to have that meeting with the state?
We plan to send them notice of these units within the month for the pre-CA documents. Is that what you're referencing, ma'am?
Yes, I'm trying to find out what remains to be done on the land side before the wells can be drilled. And I believe that some of these commingling and communitization requirements would be required before the well is produced, but I could be incorrect.
No, ma'am, we intend to send those documents.
Okay, and could you speak to third-party takeaway contracts, or is that something another witness would rather speak to?
I would defer to another witness.
Okay, can you speak to how long it'll take to actually perform the construction for specific well site facilities, or defer to another witness?
Defer to another witness.
Okay, thank you. And I know you mentioned some things in your affidavit in paragraph 50 about all parties dismissing. Do you agree that Coterra filing these applications has significantly delayed the process of getting the wells drilled?
No, I do not, ma'am.
Okay, but if Coterra had not filed the applications and had reached a voluntary agreement with Rockwood starting as soon as back in February of 2025, then we wouldn't be here today. Is that right?
If a voluntary agreement had been reached. However, voluntary agreement has not been reached. And Coterra has significant working interest ownership in the majority of the capital outlay associated with this project.
Okay, but Coterra's objections to Rockwood's proposals are the only thing stopping development at this point in time.
I don't believe that's a correct statement. I believe I believe Mr. Jolly testified yesterday that there was a lot of work to be done on the Rockwood Mewburn side. Am I misunderstanding that?
I don't recall that being his testimony.
Are you finished, Ms. Luck?
No, I still have more questions. I wasn't sure if he was done with his answer, though. I didn't want to interrupt him.
Oh, I was done with my answer.
Okay, and so I just want to briefly turn to your C102s because we looked at our C102s yesterday. I think that your C102s are on page 84 of the exhibit packet. I can share my screen. Do you know how the C102 form process works in New Mexico since it's your first time?
Mr. Examiner, I object to her characterization of Mr. Richter's qualifications. He's been qualified as an expert, and her continued characterization of him as a first-time expert or a first-time witness is not progressing the hearing.
And Mr. Hearing Examiner, the same thing has been done with respect to Rockwood's first time operating these units, proposing these wells, pooling these units. And so I believe that it's appropriate given the fact that all of Ms. Bennett's characterizations of Rockwood have been as a first timer.
Ms. Luck, it's a different issue. Ms. Bennett is objecting to your calling him a first-time expert. I don't even know that he hasn't been qualified before other divisions in other states as an expert. So you don't know that either. So let's just call him an expert.
Oh, yes. And I'm not objecting to his qualifications as an expert. I'm just not sure if he's familiar with all the forms and processes in New Mexico since he's brand new here.
Well, you'll find out by asking him the questions, but let's not call him. I'm sustaining the objection. Please don't call him a first-time expert.
Okay, I would ask that Coterra refrain from referring to Rockwood's first time. Okay, so in terms of the C102, sorry, I should have it up on my screen. Mr. Richter, did you sign the C102?
No, ma'am.
Okay, who put this together?
This would be one of our regulatory analysts, Shelley Bowen, who put this together.
Okay, so was this prepared under your direction or supervision?
It was.
Okay, and did you review every blank on this form to ensure its accuracy? Sorry.
I have to own the mistakes on here. We, at the beginning.
Mr. Richter, please get closer to the microphone.
Yeah, I have to own the mistakes on here at the beginning of our testimony. My testimony, I stated.
Mr. Richter, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but is there any way you can get closer? We are having a really hard time hearing you. I'm sorry.
Let's just use your phone at this point, Mr. Richter. This microphone is not working well. Thank you, sir. Let's take a 5-minute break so you don't feel under pressure. Please dial in.